Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is episode number 20.
And today we're going to be talking about advertising in the age of ad blockers, challenges and opportunities. But as always, of course, we have it split into two parts, the weird news, and of course then to the main topic.
You can skip ahead straight to the main topic if you'd like to, but we put a lot of effort into the news, so we'd prefer if you stuck around.
So what did you find? I have one piece of news I can start in strong.
Yeah, sure. Go.
So that one is, I called it Responsibilities Flying First Class After 9/11. So that's a pretty big jump. So I listened to a podcast where a guy mentions what kind of situation he found himself in when he was flying first class when 9/11 happened. And he said that the passengers were kind of very uncomfortable and obviously unsettling because no one wanted to take a plane anymore after that. However, the airlines had measures where initially the captain would inform the passengers that they can use the seatbelt as a weapon. So when you get into, you have this like, hey, this is the emergency exit. This is where you can find the, some sort of like safe floaty thing. So, and they started basically also informing them that they can use the buckle as a weapon. And what they start saying that the captains would walk out and say to the first class, basically passengers would say, you guys are a first line of defense, so please do not sleep on this flight. So if someone's going to come and try to hijack us, please, be aware.
Yeah, that was everywhere, and it was stoked constantly. And it's like the plane hijackings were so rare in the U.S., but this fear was so became such like a overblown thing because like two planes crashed into the World Trade Center, and in case the younger audience doesn't even know.
I'm pretty sure they did.
They decided to reshape the entire world around that trauma.
That's true. But it was interesting because I didn't know that they would show them how to practice self-defense with the buckle. Or that they would say, hey, please don't sleep because, potentially something might happen. That's what the captains would do as a safety procedure in the beginning of every flight.
As a kid, I was traveling through the U.S. in 2003. Yeah. And my older brother, he got like flagged at every airport, randomly questioned for with interviews.
Does he look more Pakistani than you do?
He does not, but the Pakistani passport does not do us any favors.
Oh, that's fair. Fair.
You don't need to look at it if your paperwork doesn't match.
Makes sense. What do you have?
You heard that there could be an asteroid that might hit Earth in 7 years?
I've seen something, but I did not read into it. I normally don't like that astrology for. I called it. I've seen someone called it birthday racism. Like astrology is a birthday racism.
This isn't astrology. This is astronomy.
Yes, but I don't know why I found that funny. Anyway, so tell me.
So there's a 2% chance. So
very low.
Very low. But at this point, I'm like, come on, bring it on.
Is it in 2012 when we said that the world will end or something?
Yeah, the 2012 Mayan calendar. The fun thing about the Mayan calendar thing is it wasn't like a conscious decision by the Mayans to stop calculating it like 2012. They just stopped because at some point you have to. Numbers will just keep piling up. So it's sort of like it's sort of like turning your calendar and going, December? That's the end? Oh my God.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so people turned that into a whole thing. But this is different. This is like astronomers saying there's an asteroid that's coming into our gravitational orbit, and it could hit the Earth with the force of 8 megaton nuclear weapons.
I wish I knew how much is that, but probably the end of the world.
The original atomic bombs, I think, were 1 megaton or something.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't believe me on that. I am not a nuclear physicist. Go Wikipedia it, guys. But yeah, measuring approximately 40 to 100 meters wide. Huh. So, not even a kilometer, but it hits with a lot of force.
Are people panicking already? Do you know?
I don't think it should be. Let's hope Donald Trump's Space Force gets on it
with all the lasers and whatever he else is building.
Get Michael Bay to do another Armageddon.
I feel like people just need a reason to panic, so this is another one.
Yeah, but I just found this interesting because I was like, 7 years from now.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah. They're also saying it's far more likely that it will just miss Earth because again, 2% chance.
Yeah, it's very, very little, but I hope we're gonna see it. That would be fun. For my other side, do you know Steam? Like the gaming platform?
Sure.
So nearly half of Steam users, they're using Windows 10. And what is happening, Windows 10 announced the end of life support for Windows 10 on October 14th, 2025. So they will not be getting any security updates anymore. And the survey that was done by Steam, basically asking about what kind of operating system you're using in terms of version, they said that 47% of Steam users, they're still on Windows 10 and they don't want to upgrade because they're afraid that their PC will slow down because of all the updates and requirements for running Windows 11. And they basically panicking a little bit. It's the Steam community who have the old PCs because they say, well, that means that people will not be able to run games, for example. There's not enough security updates. So at the topic of just end of life support, remember a few episodes ago we spoke about Logitech and how pissed I was.
Yeah.
They do not replace my Word because they have a Word, a brand new set of like the Logitech. I feel like this is the same. Or what happens? I think it was Interlink or something like that. The modems for internet. They also announced that they will stop supporting the old Wi-Fi modems and internet modems, and they will basically be hackable from day one. So there's like, oh, we're gonna stop supporting these modems that are 3 years old. So if you have a modem that is 3 years old, which pretty much 90% of the people probably have like a 3-year-old modem and they don't update it ends the support, so end of life support, and that's it.
Yeah, this is becoming like a strategy in planned obsolescence where they kind of go, oh, we're just going to continue. We need you to buy new stuff constantly. So we're just going to end support for this older stuff. And they don't really understand how much damage it can cause. Like, imagine you're an old person, you don't hear this news, right? Your antivirus just kind of doesn't work on Windows 10 anymore. You're gonna get like your entire computer hacked.
Yes, so this is what I also quite hate, and I'm waiting for the right to repair. I'm waiting for European Union to do something about it. But in other countries, I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
basically, you don't update your modem, you're gonna get hacked from somewhere from outside European Union, for example. If you don't update your iPhone to the latest one, they will slow it down and make it vulnerable. So this is like on par with that. So I do like Steam. I use Steam myself. I have Steam Deck, so I game on it, and I love it. Like I really do like the gaming system itself. But when Windows does that, and they're like, we don't care. We just stop supporting buy a new Windows 11, no discount, no nothing, just upgrade. We don't care.
Planned obsolescence is a pain. It's become the dominant model for all of Silicon Valley and just the tech industry in general.
I've seen there was another great story on a very similar notes. There was a hacker who was, so the story goes like this. There was a windmill that basically creates electricity, and there's like a company that does
like a turbine.
Yeah, the turbine. So the company had 100 turbines, and all of them were running on like Windows XP. So they had stationary computers in every turbine back in, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And there was a hacker group that basically figured the network out, probably some sort of vulnerability, or because it was Windows XP back then, so very old. What they did, they installed Bitcoin miners on 100 computers that were located in these turbines and started mining Bitcoin. However, the company itself, they wouldn't maintain the computers, so the computers would not be able to run like the latest software. The company would struggle to connect to the machines remotely, so they had to send a guy every time. So it was very labor intensive. However, these hackers, because they couldn't install the Bitcoin miner software on the PCs, what they did, they started supporting and upgrading the PCs, the Windows, the software without triggering the warnings of the company, because then the company would say, well, this is working. There's no error. Everything is supported. It's up to date. Our software is not collapsing. So they would not check anything. And they, when they investigated, they hired like a cybersecurity company that investigated, said, oh, your 100 computers were hacked. So they're like, can you leave it that way? Because they support us. They updated. All they need is a little bit of Bitcoin mining capacity from PC. I'm fine with that. They can pay themselves while we could have paid pay them for supporting our network because they apparently didn't have an IT department or something like that. Crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yes.
So my next one is a story. Have you ever heard of this YouTube channel called True Crime Case Files?
No.
So it's a series of videos about true crime and so on. You know, true crime is like the big dominating genre, and even in podcasts.
Mhm.
Like a comedy podcast is the biggest, but I think true crime comes in second.
Is it like every 90% of all the listeners of true crime are like women?
Yeah, women.
Statistically.
Well, I think it's. I think it triggers the part of the brain that's fight or flight for them. So it's like people enjoy horror movies. Women enjoy stories about like women being killed.
Yeah, not suspicious at all. But anyway, so
there's this YouTube channel. Was apparently full of completed fabrications because they were getting everything from AI.
why am I not amazed? People steal stuff from Reddit constantly, but now you don't even need to do that.
Yeah, so basically, the people were even commenting, "Why isn't this covered in the news? Oh my god, oh my god!" So, and people started calling up the police department just to like follow through. Like, this actually happened. Police department, like, we have no idea what this is. Like, for example, the Denver Police Department got called, and so basically these would be like 26-minute long videos with like stilted narration over like hazy images of neighborhoods, but like the images wouldn't be from those cities. They would just be like composite images that AI cobbled up, and the video was uploaded to the YouTube channel, and then the channel was terminated. While I'm reading this from 404 Media, and so the investigator who was writing the story up, they realized that the YouTube channel got shut down for misinformation.
I mean, they should shut down like 90% of channels then, but okay.
Yeah. So each one was made with AI, and there was no language on the channel's homepage or in the video descriptions to tell the viewers otherwise. Yeah.
So no disclaimer, because they had no disclaimer, they were deleted.
Yeah. And the guy had like a defense. You know what he said?
What?
It doesn't have to be true. Like it needs to be called true crime because true crime is a genre. I wanted the audience to think about why they care so much about much that it was true. Why it matters so much to them that real people are murdered. Which sounds like a really dumb justification for laziness.
That's true, but also I do agree that it's just a genre, you know? It's
Yeah, but it's sort of like if you watch a documentary about something and at the end it says, "Oh, by the way, this was all fictional." You would be
a little bit
feel swindled, you know?
there.
I'm like, "Oh my god, this really happened." No, apparently it didn't.
I was listening yesterday as well to some video about a guy who was talking about laziness and like the movie Idiocracy.
Oh yeah.
And he compared it to a case that Walmart a few years, I think it was 2022.
Yeah.
There was a law, so sort of like a legal case against Walmart, and Walmart legal departments had 4 cases that they presented, 4 or 8, I don't remember, it doesn't matter, that were actually not real cases, and they were basically ChatGPT hallucinations. And then Walmart had to apologize in courts that like regarding their unprofessionalism and like not really looking into the cases, and then their internal AI model did not work out. So basically, they asked the ChatGPT to come up with a case for a legal case, which actually not was not true and did not exist in the system.
Those guys should be disbarred.
It's the only people that you want to really be correct and know their stuff. We're using ChatGPT to just come up with a case, so they use it in the legal battles. It's crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of idiocracy,
tell me.
So a friend of the podcast, Elon Musk, has. We talk about him so much. He's like a friend, you know.
Yes, he's a buddy of ours.
He set up his Doge Commission, Department of Government Efficiency. And they set up like a website with like where they were uploading their cases and case files and things like that, showing government corruption and stuff like that. And he had his like elite hacker team of little minions. I really wanted to call them something much worse, but I think terms of service would kill me. But anyway, these elite hackers set up the website in such a way that other hackers could just mess with the entries and just fudge them up a lot.
I've read that somewhere.
Yeah. As someone literally entered one, this is a joke of a .gov site as one of the cases, and somebody else wrote these experts left their database open. RORO.
Yeah, I've seen as well that it's basically editable, so you can go to the Doge site and edit your cases.
So if anybody has their weekend free, it's probably fixed by now, but you should, because messing with Elon is not just funny; it's also a public service.
Man, Lithuanian governmental website is such garbage as well. Anytime you have to find something, it's impossible, and it's back. I don't know. It's a throwback Thursday to 1999 or something, because it's so bad. I cannot imagine how like Lithuanian government still did not collapse with all this
Cyber attacks and stuff.
Yeah, it's impossible. Nothing's loading, but I would not expect that in US.
In fairness, cybersecurity is really good in Eastern European countries, because like they invested a lot in computer science and a lot of like Russian, especially computer experts are like the top rated in the world.
Yeah, I mean that's where all the hacker groups come from as well. But it's mainly because it's a poor country and they don't want to pay for movies. So what they do, they find very very creative ways of getting around that. And we're probably going to talk about it in the main topic as well about ad blockers.
So returning back to Doge, you know anything about these guys?
Well, I am looking up that they are trying to put all the governmental spending and money allocation on the blockchain, so that there's a transparency in all the markets.
They're trying to do the thing that the El Salvadorian government did.
So adopting blockchain as a native currency. So how is it called?
They want to funnel all the money through Silicon Valley servers rather than the U.S. Fed, which as bad as the Fed can be, you don't want the Silicon Valley guys to be handling your money. Like it's about who owns the blockchain, not whether blockchain is better than standard measurements of doing things. It's fine. I like blockchain. I like it as a system. I like the transparency. I just don't like the people who will be owning the blockchain, which defeats the point of it being decentralized. So, crypto bros, put your knives down.
I agree that this is weird what they're trying to do, but also I agree with the bigger narrative, which is probably just a false narrative in general to hide something else, which is like, oh, we're going to see all the transactions and where the money goes into which departments, because now every department will have to have a wallet and it's going to be traceable, trackable, and where the taxes go. So the premises and idea is nice. I just don't believe that that's the main idea.
Yep.
They probably are building a company somewhere in the background that is going to be, we're going to be handling it. Therefore, we're going to take a little cut out of the whole transaction fee. So yeah, it's good idea. Interesting implementation. I mean, it's funny that he called it Doge, like the Dogecoin.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Elon. He's a magical clown in general. So
yeah. So one of the Doge boys really did surprise me. Basically, one of them goes by the name Big Balls.
Sure.
Because that's who you want, like running through all of your social security information.
Big balls.
Another guy was like openly tweeting heinous stuff, just like stuff I can't say. Like what was like one of them was basically bring back Indian hate or something like that.
Why am I not amazed? Like, this is, again, because you just listened to the Idiocracy explanation of the movie. It's like, this is the more ridiculous stuff you mention, the less sensitive people will become.
Yeah. And these guys, one of these guys was like running a server which had a lot of child corn on it.
Amazing.
Just the worst people, you can imagine. So yeah, that's the commission for you.
So a bunch of buddies get together.
And there was some weirder stuff as well. It's unconfirmed. And I sound like a lunatic if I even say it.
You can say allegedly, and then you're
allegedly, of course. But like, one of them was apparently a big fan of the Order of the Nine Angles, which is like a Satanist cult from Britain. This sounds cartoonish,
Sometimes things like that are real.
I know. and I hate it when it is.
Life is amazing.
That said, that's all of my news.
I have the last one.
Excellent.
Remember a few episodes we also spoke about the DI programs. So basically, the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that larger companies are now kind of stopping within, within their corporations. So Meta obviously laid off a bunch of employees, and they kind of started blasting Zuckerberg on running the coolest tech company out there. And some claim that they were kind of blindsided of the parental leave. So basically, unexpected layoffs for low performers. And when they were confronting their management, saying, "Hey, I never got like any kind of bad performance review. It's always very positive." Or others started claiming that in the last 2 months, people started pressuring them to do more and more output. And they then eventually got fired for low performance, even though that was never there. There was allegations of discrimination. So there was one senior executive, Kelly Stonelake. So she filed a lawsuit against Meta now as she was laid off, that it was a very toxic pattern of silencing women, and she was there for 15 years.
Oh yeah.
So for 15 years, she basically experienced discrimination and harassment. But only now, when she got fired, she's like, "Okay, screw it. I cannot do this anymore. I have to go." Talk to someone about it. And this kind of cultural shift in the company, because we spoke that Google did the same thing. Google also right now switched from like, what was their motto? Do not do evil.
Do no evil.
Yeah, do no evil or something like that.
It was like, don't be evil.
Yeah, and they said that they're not gonna put money in AI or war or guns or any kind of cyber, against humanity. And now they actually stopped it, and they're trying to hide the fact that they're doing that. So again, this cultural shifts, people are getting fired, DEI programs are being discontinued. And last point is employee backlash on this one. So because the laid off employees, they basically went on TikTok, they went on Meta and started, basically commenting that he's like the worst CEO, and that's right now they disagree with downsizing or focusing what is important or cutting off the fat in the company and replacing actually a lot of support with just artificial intelligence. So they argue that the layoffs were not obviously generally performance based, but they're just trying to find multiple reasons to cut the fat.
Yeah, this has become a strategy. I mean, if I start talking about this, it'll be an episode long, to be honest. A lot of tech companies, they go like, "Oh, we're like," when they're downsizing, they can't really say we had a bad quarter. They have to like go like, "Oh, we're cutting out inefficiencies and this, or we've innovated in such a way that we don't need this department." Or the way Mark Zuckerberg is going, he's like put up his broccoli ass haircut, going on Joe Rogan talking about men aren't men anymore, looking like a 25-year-old TikTok rapper. I mean, he's doing that because he needs people to buy his personality so that they use Facebook a bit more. And one of the realizations is that nobody trusts Mark Zuckerberg. That's one of the reasons he has to go out there and do an entire PR reimagining of himself and upload parody songs and things like that.
Guy thinks he's a Gen Z Eminem or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. He's 40.
What a sad guy.
So that said, companies do that, and then the DEI thing, a lot of companies are now walking it back. But that's part of that is this that the whole diversity, equity, and inclusion was supposed to be made to make liberals feel really nice about themselves when a company is like, we're divorced, we're divorced. We're diverse and we're equitable and we're inclusive and blah blah blah, and the liberals will go, okay, fine, I'll buy their products or whatever. And a lot of people genuinely thought that was good, and in my case, I always thought it was a bit of greenwashing.
It is.
It is. Unless it's codified into your hiring practices, I am not going to care. If it's just a section on your website about how inclusive you are, nobody cares. All right. Put it into practice, make it legal, then I will actually understand this. So a lot of these companies had very flimsy DEI initiatives. They would just have a page and they would just go on and on about this, and they would hire like racial sensitivity seminar spokespersons, and all of this garbage. So now, when the quarter for a lot of Silicon Valley companies has not been good, they're not getting returns on the massive amounts of investment they've made in their AI. Not to say that they won't in the future, but right now they're in a fight or flight sort of situation where they kind of have to either stick to it or abandon it. And they're choosing to stick to it because they believe there's an AI arms race going on. And eventually, what happens from this is they are going to have to push those costs somewhere. So they're like, oh, we're ending our DEI initiatives, and these are the people we're firing. And actually, being anti DEI also has become like a different kind of virtue signaling.
Yeah.
You can say to a certain set of the population that, like, look how much fat we've got. Look at what like a tough company we are now, and
Lean and
we don't
mean
approach, you know.
Yeah, it's the lean and mean approach, right? It's like, oh my God, I've seen a job application that said, literally, I open it up, and the first 2 lines, we are a family, and we like to meet up at least 4 times a week in the office. I'm like, close.
I don't meet my family 4 times in a week.
Just by saying you have to be in the office, and we're toxic.
Yeah.
But when I saw it's like, we are a family and we meet up 4 times, I'm like, that's it, the end. So like, this is a bad start. But this is the type of companies you're talking about, right? The ones who are just trying the opposite sides, like of the spectrum, of going super hardcore, because you could be super open,
and then you can mix and match it with cutting jobs.
Yeah,
because you can't say, oh, we're cutting jobs because we did badly. Nobody wants to admit that. And right now, everyone's expecting a recession. Anyway, continue. You were saying something?
No, that's it. It's like, I've seen a meme somewhere that said, it's like corporate translators. So translated into human language. Like, yeah, everyone's fired.
Now, you see, I'd love an AI that could do that.
I love it. Should we move to the main topic?
We should move to the main topic, yes.
As a reminder, we are talking about advertising in the age of ad blockers and challenges and opportunities.
But primarily we'll be talking about digital because that's our expertise. But a little bit of traditional also because, you can't really... That's the one that's immune to ad blockers.
Yes. Do you know actually when the first ad blocking company was created?
When?
So back in 1996, the company was called PrivNet. So the company basically had to, back then, what was happening when the first ads were popping up in 1994 or something like that, and when you had to pay for internet, for example, users, they had to pay like $10 for 5 hours of using the internet or for specific megabyte sizes. So it was like a model you had to...
you had bandwidth.
Yes. So what was happening when people started putting ads on websites, it was loading slower and it would take up to 4 seconds more to load the page. So this company basically called it PrivateNet or PrivNet. What they said, okay, if you pay us $10 for a month or something like that, or $10 in general for the software, what we'll do, we will stop every ads from loading up. That way you save time and you save money by, having less bandwidth use. And also having like 5 tabs open, it's going to load faster. So that was the main idea of the ad blocker back then. And that's where the original name of an ad block originated. So it was basically like a plugin for Netscape browser.
Yeah, Netscape. That takes me back.
I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, the first ad blocker I installed was maybe like 2007. But then I looked it up, and apparently the ad blocker we know, that everyone knows, popped up in 2004. And in European Union, actually, it won a lot of law cases.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's legal to use.
I mean, it would have to be because when advertising becomes a bandwidth sponge in those days, I remember like saving internet space till the end of the month when you could just spend it all.
Oh my God. No, luckily enough, when I was 7 and my mom got me a PC and an internet connection, there was no limitation. I never thought about it.
Pakistan had like a broadband was brought in like 2004. And like a lot of homes still didn't have it till way later. We didn't have it till way later. like because mom always used the computer in the in her office, which was always really good internet, you know. And in my case, I would just be in this crappy dial-up.
We never had dial-up. The reason was I also kind of asked around. Apparently, Lithuania was the last country, or like one of the last countries in the European Union to actually connect internet. But because when they started connecting that, the technology,
they could go straight to the good stuff.
yes, that we got straight to the good stuff, while the rest of European Union was kind of struggling. But then we got the latest stuff, and now when everyone's getting replacements, we still have the crap.
So you do not have the uniquely millennial experience of having the dial tone stuck in your head.
No, but I had it with some friends when I had to call them. I asked them what's up with homework, like what is the homework for tomorrow. They would like I couldn't reach that because the internet was connected or something like that. So that was funny. But anyway, so why adblock became a necessity? So I have a few bullet points I would like to go through, and I'll kind of throw a few facts here and there, and maybe later on we can talk about the ethical consequences of that. Is it good? Is it bad? What's the point? Because there are a few ways of looking at it. So generally, of course, there's a rise of online ads. So every internet user who has access from 1994 basically has seen ads online. And obviously now on YouTube, you have to watch like 7 ads before you can actually continue to something unless you hack your TV. The other one is that the cost of running a website back in the days were very expensive. So people would put ads on their website just because they want to kind of somehow pay for the server run uptime. And obviously now there's like this targeted advertising evolution, not like TV or newspaper or something like that. So it became very efficient. And some companies like Google and Facebook, 90% of their revenue is actually dependent on ads, and they obviously they're insanely good at it.
Even aside from ads, also the data tracking that comes with advertising.
Yeah, and 27 billion a year are lost, like financial impact basically of ad blockers. Yeah, and back, I think in 2010 there were 21 million people that were using ad blockers. In 2017 it was 236 million, and even now, which I didn't know, and I should do that, 380 million mobile ad block users are like today. So it's insane. And like, do you have an ad block on your phone?
I don't actually.
Apparently, it's more people that use it on your phone than they use somewhere else. Which I was like, hey, I don't know, but I have a pretty good system at home, which is called the Pi hole. So it's a Raspberry Pi, and I have a Pi hole installed, and all my traffic from all my modem, because I have 2 modems. One modem is filtered. So it filters all the traffic, and if I'm connected to that one, I don't see any ads. And the other one is where I do see ads, and it tracks everything for a very simple reason. My Roomba doesn't vacuum unless I connect it to the public, let's say, network, the one that has ads. Because if I block every communication, a lot of stuff in my home stops working, which is super weird.
Yeah, that's a win for analog stuff, I think.
Hey, man.
Either way. One of the things I found interesting was just how much revenue loss happens from ad blockers, and how much there's also so much investment from like Alphabet into how to combat the latest ad blockers all the time. And like YouTube, they constantly like at the second there's an ad blocker that's good, it starts finding ways to eliminate it. And it spends so much time getting rid of things like homebrew and things and all of those.
Yeah, and also I was reading and watching a video actually from like 10 years ago, I think, on YouTube from a TED Talk. And the lady was describing, she was like, I'm a marketing person, you know, I run ads all the time, I have the agency, and she basically explained like the good side and the bad side of things. And one point she made, and I highly recommend everyone to watch that video, that she's like, well, when you watch an ad, you pay someone's salary. And my response was like, I don't care. I just don't want to watch an ad. But her argument was like, when you're watching ads, you pay the company that has the revenue, that supports the people who are working there. So therefore, you should watch ads because you are helping the society to pay salaries and do taxes. So you're watching ads, you're doing good for the world. I'm like, wait a second. But then I can pay YouTube and not do that. So that's number one argument that she had, which I had a little bit of a kind of mixed feelings. The other one that you mentioned is that if you have a very good ad blocker that a lot of people use, like Google comes in and says, "Hey, ad blocker, let us pay you a million euros, and then you put us on a whitelist. So every other ad will be blocked, but not Google ads." So basically, there's this favoritism and selectiveness of different ad providers that would pay the ad blocking company to whitelist their ads who uses their services. So I think that's very unethical, and it's not an equal playground as well.
Yeah.
So like, everyone sees ads or no one sees ads, but then these guys are like, oh, well, if we are losing like 2%, that's so many billion, let's just go and pay ad blockers some money so they whitelist our Google ads. I think that's very as well shady.
Not just shady, it's brought us back to buying up ad space.
Right.
So the company with the most ability to do that wins. And now it's double because first you buy ad space on like Google and then you have to buy ad space on the ad blockers. So
yeah, but this is where the a little bit of ethical discussion comes in. If no one would have to like buy ads, would it be like a leveled playground for everyone and small businesses and so on? Because now if you have a lot of budget, you're a big company, you can pay for ads, but the one who doesn't have, it's going to be basically a failure on the internet.
yeah.
So wouldn't it be fair that if no one sees ads and everyone has to like work organically, right? So not like play to win in a way, but organically it would be an equal playground for everything.
I guess. I mean, the playground's never equal, is it? I can't even imagine level playing field anymore.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
But there was I mean, the internet was never really ad free, was it? But advertising was a lot less dominant on there. And personally, ads on websites don't bother me as much as they do on like search engines, which is just getting in the way of the information you actually want.
There are a few solutions that were proposed, obviously, like you can do a subscription-based model, which I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah.
YouTube is like, or you watch ads or you pay us whatever, 10 euros a month, and then we skip ads. What I hate when they say Netflix is a great, the worst great example.
Tier.
Yeah, oh, you pay us, but then we still get to see ads, or you pay us more and maybe you'll see less ads. Like, what the hell? This is absolutely makes no sense to me. So when you pay a subscription and you see ads, so you're like, I pay you already something to use your service, and you also get revenue from me, and then you know that it's 90% of your total like income of the company. It's like a money grab. I feel scammed like double. You buy a product that you basically still don't get completely because, well, you're too poor and you should pay more.
I mean, we've talked a lot about companies and how much ad blockers cost them, but on another level, ad blockers do make them have to work harder and put more money into the advertising budget. So you and I, for example, have thriving careers in marketing because like some of the things like ad blockers exist. Our jobs get a little bit more like technical because of that. And between 2023 and 2024, there was a 10% growth rate in the digital marketing budget spending across all businesses. So this 10% aggregate went to trying to figure out solutions that would be more creative while the ad block was there. So it costs businesses a bit more, but it helps marketing professionals. So there's a there's a sort of there's two sides to this coin.
No, I totally agree with you. I use ad blockers myself, man. So even though working in the fields, everyone says, "Oh, you're a marketing person and you're using ad blockers." Shame. I'm like, yeah, but I don't like it. I don't like when it's like gets a little bit too intrusive, for example. So I have my arguments why I think there's a little bit like an unethical and part of it. For example, you spoke last time on the last episode that some of the ads that are like underground ads, it's like, hey, play this casino and win a cancer treatment for your dying wife. You're like, what? So those type of ads, right? So that means that some ads are a little bit intrusive, right? They also slow down browsing. I think my Raspberry Pi, my Pi hole says that 27% of my network is actually tracking and ads. So my network, my internet is 27% faster just because it basically filters all the tracking. So also users, they should control their experience on the website. Have you tried reading New York Times or like I don't know, the Wall Street Journal when you are not using an ad blocker? It's insane. Like you log in, it basically ads everywhere. You cannot even scroll past anything. It's just a bunch of ads. Security concerns, that's another big topic that why I do not like why I block ads.
Yeah.
Because some ads are just malicious, right? So they can basically, you click on the ads and then you can get scammed, or you can get a virus on your PC, especially if you're using Windows 10 that is going to be discontinuing their, life support. Ad blockers also help the reducing some sort of exposures to like these kind of situations when your old grandma is going to click on something and then get a virus or scammed or, whatever. Unethical advertising that we spoke about, what is the underground advertising. So anyone who did not listen, go to the previous episode, listen about the underground ads and how bad they are. So some ads, they're obviously deceptive and they use really weird tactics to do that. And just blocking them prevents any type of exploitation, which I also like. The last part is just data collection and privacy violations. That's where I feel the most concern. I understand that it's just so much info and no one would care, but the algorithms are getting smarter and then they listen to me. For example, I sign up to a Portuguese class. 2 days later, somehow every social media now tells me the words I need to learn in Portuguese. I'm like, how the hell? It's been 2 days of me just Googling a little bit of something, but they pick up so quick.
I have a story like that.
Tell
which
me.
is I was taking care of a friend's cat, and I hadn't even had the cat for like 2 hours, and I started getting ads for cat food. Either it was listening to my like text messages with friends, or if it's heard the cat meowing through my computer or something.
It's crazy. Like this is what I'm talking about. It feels very intrusive as well. Because I don't need what they're offering, but they already know what I need. I remember there was a case study where about a girl who was pregnant, right?
Oh, well,
like
I was just going to bring this.
That's a classic. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So basically what happened was there was a girl who was pregnant, but she didn't know it. Her father started getting all these ads for like pregnancy related stuff. Here's the thing. The girl herself didn't know it, but what she was finally Googling was sort of the undiagnosed signs of a pregnancy. So the father was suddenly getting ads because of the credit card spending, because of the home computer being that way. And they're like, oh my God, computer knew from these behavioral patterns faster than even you did.
And when we were at the TNW event during summer, there was one talk from, I think it was Rabobank, so it's a very big Dutch bank in the Netherlands, and it was a UX conversation. And the lady said, "Hey, we can tell based on your spending patterns if you're going to be moving out from your parents and starting university. We know if you're saving up to buy a house. We know so much of your spending behavior, and on a mass scale, it's so easier." So in their app, what they propose to integrate is like discounts or partnerships / sponsorships with some developer companies or any kind of real estate agents that are very good that they want. So basically you can go to like a bank like Rabobank and say, hey, can you put me in your app to the users that you feel are saving up for a house to show my services. So basically on spending platforms, they can monetize again their application based on tracking. Crazy. And again, this is why I just block everything. I'm going to use blockchain, man, in 10 years. I'm going to be off-grid living. Gonna have chickens and cows and goats and a garden.
I'm using like a bespoke browser and VPNs.
DuckDuckGo?
No, a bespoke browser.
Oh, it's called like that? Oh,
no, it's Arc browser.
Oh, I know that one.
It's a really good one, and like your data isn't constantly going through Google Chrome, which can be nice, but no, God, they don't need to know everything about me. That said, I have some statistics for you.
Tell me.
Now, I don't know if these these are like affected by ad blockers, or if even without ads you get the same sort of there's no control group for these. This is basically what I mean. Um, you'll see what I mean in a minute. So PPC returns $2 for every $1 spent, apparently.
PPC is pay per click, for everyone who doesn't know.
Pay per click advertising, resulting in a 200% ROI. Paid ad channels with the highest reported ROI rate are Facebook ads and Google ads.
Yep.
That makes sense. 49% of businesses say that organic search brings them the best marketing ROI.
Because it's free.
Yeah. Well, kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
I work in organic. They definitely.
There's a lot of effort there. However, it is free. That's probably from a perspective they're looking at.
Yeah, it's just you make content to populate the website, but it depends on what the company's operations are.
That's true. I agree.
Like if you hire an SEO person and they focus on organic, that's not free exactly, you know?
Yeah, I understand.
But that said, email marketing returns $36 to $40 for every $1 spent. Highest ROI, apparently. And I can back this up because the email campaigns we run at my company are really, really effective.
Yeah, Martin, like, because it's a very direct one. To get also in European Union due to GDPR compliance, you have to do a double opt-in verification in order to use someone's email in direct communication. So that means I have to get an email and say, I agree to this email and I'm okay with getting this email. And then you have to double verify. So any kind of direct communication also feels personal because I have to confirm twice that I'm okay with it. If you step outside the European Union where the GDPR compliance is enforced by now, you don't have that. So you can spam the hell out of everyone and kind of maybe get some sort of return on that, but much, much lower.
It needs to be mentioned that we have an entire episode about email marketing. Please go check that out if you need to learn more. So, continuing along these sort of statistics, over 20% of businesses say that the number of leads generated is the primary factor they base on the success of their marketing channels. That's, but I was surprised it wasn't higher, to be honest. You know?
Why not? I mean, depends. It's the quantity. Well, if I would say quality versus quantity, right? It can be a lead that is depends on the business as well, right? Because sometimes a deal is 100,000 euros, or sometimes the deal is 1,000 euros. So it's not about the quantity of leads, but the quality of the lead. But again, I think it's very, very business oriented.
So the thing that I was wondering was the PPC return being 200% of ROI. I feel that is this impacted by ad blockers, or would this be the same other way?
I'm pretty sure it is impacted with ad blockers because in my understanding, that's if you use any kind of ad block, you will not see an ad. Therefore, if you don't see an ad, so there's a lot of search volume. Yeah. I Google, I don't see an ad. I do not click on the ad. I would click on the first organic thing. Therefore, that's your organic ROI. And the Google ecosystem will basically do not record an impression, and because I have nowhere to click, it will not record that. So I would feel that this is excluding the original amount of clicks it would get. However, now you have more people that do not have an ad blocker because, yeah, basically ad blockers are the minority of the people. So everyone who has it, that means you have competition.
Yeah. It's also ad blockers are going to be increasingly more popular.
I'm pretty sure.
Who knows how the ROI will actually be affected, or if it will have a stronger pool of, a stronger pool of people it will work on.
Do you feel that ad blockers are used by more tech-savvy people?
I think, I don't know. I think most people just kind of get an ad blocker at some point. You see your friend use one and you're like, oh, I'm going to get that. That's pretty good. Even if you're not very tech savvy.
Because I think it's a great balance, because sometimes I'm okay with an ad if it's not intrusive, but there's always like a boiling point where like, this is absolutely not what I want to see. And then you get pissed and then you basically spend 6 hours hacking your TV.
Yeah. That said, since we covered the ROI for PPC, pay per click, and digital ads in general, uh, we should also discuss some alternatives and solutions.
I do have that. I also have arguments against ad blocking. So maybe, and that's where it's going to blend in pretty well into what an alternative into like funding the models. So some of the other side of the medal, because I spoke about arguments in favor, why I am doing this.
Yeah.
The arguments against are that many websites and YouTubes and news platforms like New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, their whole revenue is ads. Why? Because they write stories, they attract a lot of people. People see ads, and the Wall Street Journal, for example, gets paid for that because their content is free.
Well, I mean, I think if, for example, the New Yorker has no ads on it. It doesn't have too many ads on it, but I think they mostly make their money from subscriptions, which is why they have a limitation on how many articles you can read per period of time.
But it is like still a marketing technique. And the thing is that ad blocker sometimes also is asked to be shut down when you visit those websites. You visit a website, it says, oh, we have noticed you're using an ad blocker, shut it down and then continue reading. Our whole website depends on ad revenue to run the stuff, right? And then that's how we pay salaries. But they also try to guilt trip you into like, hey, shut down your ad blocker because people need to eat and we have to pay them. If you don't shut it down, we cannot make income, and our CEO will be very.
And there's a picture of a starving family.
Yes. So basically, they say that it hurts kind of free content creators, but I feel that when you see some CEOs get shot because that's their ways of guilt tripping you, I think that's a different conversation. But the other argument is ad-supported internet model, right? So the internet thrives on free content.
Yeah.
And a lot of people create a lot of free content to share with the world just because they understand that they can depend on ad revenue to sustain themselves, to continue producing valuable content. Because if there would be no free content online, the internet would be the internet.
Yep. But I can make an argument against that one as well. I think you don't have any control over what ads get played on your because of the way Google advertising works, you know, to the point where a lot of people, YouTubers particularly, take up in-content sponsorships, so they have direct revenue control and direct control over what ads they are putting up. And a lot of people, like the entire existence of Patreon, is because people find the subscription model to be a better, more stable source of revenue for them.
Yeah, and this is another argument that if ads disappear, a lot of people are just going to move behind paywalls.
Yeah, what I find is the big companies love ads. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Like a YouTuber wanted, the New Yorker, if I'm to be believed, wants it. You know, these newspapers kind of want these sorts of advertising things, but like smaller publications, like the New Republic, which I read, they send a sort of like a donation email instead.
I do not mind that. I feel I will support something if I like. I have a messenger on my phone. It's called Signal. I support these guys. So sometimes I just see and like they have a pop-up say, hey, can you donate? I'm like, fine, €5. It's not that bad. I could just donate to you. And I'm okay with that. With like Patreon, if I really want to see something, and I did subscribe many times to some creators, I'm like, oh, I want to see what he said in that video because it was so interesting and it has an extended version. So I do not mind subscribing for a month, just watching a little bit of the content. I'm like, okay, I got what I need. Thank you so much. I unsubscribe.
I usually send them something with Ko-fi.
Oh yeah, it's like buy me a coffee or something. Maybe we should do it for our podcast. You can buy us a coffee, guys. So we're gonna create a link where you can click and then you can buy us a coffee.
This is already getting very. Don't do the business workshopping on the podcast.
Yeah, fair enough.
I have to be very careful what I say next because this reminded me of a thing that I used to do in university.
What did you do?
Was there was a website, not going to name them, who used to have very dodgy fake news meant to inspire far-right hatred.
The Onion.
A group of us used to screenshot what ads showed up on their banners, and we would tell the companies your website is showing up in front of this. I think you should unsubscribe from them, and you should notify that you don't want your ads on these and these websites. And the owner of that website basically admitted in a documentary that our group tanked their revenue.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
I will show you that clip later, Alex.
Yes, now I'm super curious. So basically, you're a bounty hunter in a way.
Yeah, we all lost our minds in university.
But that's one of the actual arguments, right? So like economic impacts that advertisers they lose billions with the ad blockers and people who like you, the justice warriors, who are basically like affecting industries and that depend on digital marketing, right? And small businesses that rely on targeted ads may also struggle with that. But of course, it depends. So the alternatives that I have here are subscription-based models, right? So basically, you have a reliable income stream, ad-free experience, encourages quality content production as well. So it's not about the quantity anymore; it's about the quality of basically people who pay on a monthly subscription. Some examples are like YouTube Premium, maybe online news like New York Times, Wall Street Journal, The Guardian, where you can really pay. But of course, the challenges are like users may resist paying for the content that they previously had access for free. So it's very difficult to transition. Another one, which is sponsored and branded content, right? So it's less intrusive than traditional ads, creates authentic brand engagements, and basically works well on social media. You get like all the influencers like hold your product or use your product. So that becomes like that sponsorship. I think it's still okay if you like it, right?
No.
If it's not to like, hello, I'm a gamer, buy this couch. I'm like, what? Like, this absolutely makes no sense. How much do they pay you? But some examples from back in the days, it's BuzzFeed, YouTube as well, and influencers, right? So Instagram, TikTok, brand partnerships. I myself once got a sponsorship on my Instagram. So my Instagram was absolutely automated, obviously, and I have a bot. It's still alive, and it would watch like 20,000 stories, and it grew a lot of followers. And what happened? Pull and Bear from Spain reached out to me. Yes, and they said, "Hey Alex, we're gonna send you select some once we have a partnership with you. Select some clothes. We'll send it to you. All you have to do is put it on and basically take a few pictures and tag our basically accounts during this period of time." The thing is, I said, okay, I have like those 3 days. I'm in the Netherlands, and then I'm leaving. I'm gonna go travel, and basically the package did not arrive on time during the campaign that they had, and basically they were late. I did not get the package in time, and then I basically said I'm not going to do anything because you were late, and I was not like on location when you said I would be. So basically I said, hey, you told me to be these 3 days in the country. I delayed my trip because of you, and you didn't do anything, so I kept the clothes. Actually, it was not that bad. I don't know where they are though now, but basically they never contacted me again. But I got some free clothes from Pull and Bear because they thought I'm a good fit for sponsorship. To be an influencer, never gonna do that again in my life. The other solution to like influencers is freemium models with paid upgrades. So you can kind of have like some sort of access that users can try. So if it's a software as a service, the other one is just keeping basic services for free. If there was one example I like, it's a social media management platform called buffer.com. So you can like schedule 10 posts for free, but if you want more channels and more posts, you can just have to pay like the base model. So I like that. I also want to do a shout out just for a software that I like. It's called PostHog. I love these guys. I saw the sales rep or the guy who's technical implementation during a call. They use their own software the way it's intended, and it's super cool, and you can register for free. They have so much for free, and then if you want to pay extra, they're always like, oh, you can buy us coffee or you can subscribe, and it's amazing.
Yeah, we use it at work as well.
It's so good. So you also, of course, have high conversion potential for freemium features, right, that are available, because then you use it. You don't feel bad for upgrading for something that you already really like.
Yeah. That said, should we move on to some solutions?
Go ahead.
All right. One is better design.
What do you mean?
Design your website a little bit better. You can always upgrade so it blocks the ad block, but that might risk infuriating the person checking your website out.
So is it for or against ad blockers? I don't understand.
Just listing some solutions you could try. and that there are pros and cons.
Have you heard of arbitrage? Website arbitrage. So it's basically putting ads in locations where people would misclick or click and generate revenue for you. And there's a bunch of people who would do website arbitrage with Google AdSense. Not that I know a lot about it, but I tried a little and it does work. It's insane. So it's basically very conveniently inconvenient
It's like
placements.
Black hat version.
Yes. But so it can be a solution, can be also a big problem.
Yeah. That would be an example of better design. But
True.
better design also coincides with evil design.
Ah,
Then there's embedded ads. Like go back to the old school, putting a picture up rather than
that's true. That's a good one. You can automate that as well nowadays.
put a picture with a URL on it rather than an actual like ad that links somewhere.
Yep, that is a solution.
I mean, on the websites we often work with, we don't have any pop-ups or those sort of things, but the ad is going to be a link to our own tool. You can put that within your organic content.
Yeah, and then you can measure and report back to the clients of the results.
Yeah. And if it's related to the organic content, people won't mind as much. For example, if you're looking for a service and you're trying to Google how much does this thing cost, and then they're like, hey, we can put you in contact with our sales rep. That's a good thing, people won't even mind. They'll find it helpful. So that's I think embedded ads are honestly the best way to do the marketing, but only if they're relevant to what you're making. Otherwise, you're just going to be advertising something wildly inaccurate to the search intentions of the person. Then email signups or subscriptions. We talked about this one.
Yeah, that subscription I think is a very good one because you definitely have to make up your mind.
Yeah.
Also have called it micropayments or micro subscriptions, or you pay per use, right? So we would I need this thing, I pay it once, I use it for 3 days, I don't need it anymore. Or buy this for 60 cents or whatever. I use it, for whatever purpose I need, and that I don't use the software. Or if you really need to read this article, and then minimum I can pay 50 cents and read it, for example. So you don't have to subscribe for a year or stuff like that.
I quite enjoy email signups because there are certain sites where I'm like, oh, these guys do good stuff, but I can't open their website all the time. So if it arrives in my inbox, it's actually handy. It's good morning reading on the train. So I like those. Then there are ad block detection scripts and highlighting for people that could you please turn off the ad block for this website, or the more malicious one, which is you can't watch this until you disable the ad block.
Yeah, guilt tripping. I don't like that. I feel that that's not a solution.
Yeah, I think requesting works a little bit, but most people will just be like, oh, I just quickly need to read this. I can't turn my ad block off right now. Either way, then there's the allow list options.
Yeah, that's a good one. That could be interesting, but that's what they're trying to do with cookies as well.
Mm-hmm.
However, that takes a lot of technical skill, I think, to implement and do that.
Yeah. But yeah, the ad blocks are really a modern internet problem.
Do you think they should be legal? Would you say ad blockers should be legal or illegal?
They should be legal. I think they should be legal. Because I mean, it's difficult to be it's cutting in people's revenue, but at the same time, your computer is your own. You're trying to sometimes you're just trying to surf along, and you go to websites that are sometimes you're not even looking for an ad and it'll just pop up out of nowhere. That stuff shouldn't happen at all. But then at the same time, if you click on a link and it's sort of a journalistic source, or somebody's put a lot of time and effort into compiling some research or something, they should get a kickback some way. But it's also, you don't really consent to it, but at the same time, you don't really consent to the billboard outside your house either. It's difficult. It's a really tricky thing. I do want them to be legal because they clean up your search and they clean up your content viewing. But at the same time, Yeah, it goes against the what the website owner will want, and they sometimes need that.
Isn't that then more personal, right? So they should be legal because it's personal for each person, right? It's like, hey, I do like this website, I will turn off my ad blocker. Or for me, for example, I watch a guy who I subscribe on Patreon, and I'm like, I like this guy. I watch his stuff on YouTube, but then he releases like an extended version, let's say, on his Patreon,
Yeah.
and it costs me €3 a month. If that's all I need to do, and he releases like 2 videos a month, and I like the guy, and I want him to kind of
I
thrive, and I do that. So I use Patreon exclusively for for this guy.
I remember when I was using an old computer. What used to happen was it used the ads would be so heavy in those days that and the internet wasn't particularly good that it would slow down my computer. And I think that is that made ad blocks so necessary for me to even be able to use the internet.
So that's the argument from 1996.
It's the argument from 2010
There you
that
go.
how bad my computer was for a long time.
Yeah, but for me, it's also a question that I want to ask you is why do you think the industry did not address like why people block ads? Like I don't hear a lot of discussion about that.
It did.
Yeah, where?
The it wasn't really a discussion. It was a shift of models. Shift towards organic, shift towards influencer marketing.
So like community driven, some sort of.
And even if there's no ad blocks, so many people instinctively avoid the ad. It just becomes background noise. Like you instantly know that's the ad and that's the actual thing I was looking for, and your eye avoids it.
Feel like your brain just like block your brain is the ad blocker.
Yeah. People have become that literate with computers, you know? And they have to be highlighted specifically because otherwise it's a very annoying reading experience. But the industry did respond. They not exactly because PPC doesn't work, but because it's such a crowded market that when it does work, even then the gains are not as substantive as doing it through content marketing, doing it through influencer marketing, doing it through email marketing. And they also found that like those each have a sort of quality that that for the consumer, not for the producer of the ad, that gives them a little bit of an extra edge over whatever ads usually blocked by ad blockers. Although ad blockers have gotten so good, they sometimes skip over sponsored content in YouTube videos, you know.
Yeah.
But for example, that's that sort of thing. The influencer marketing that isn't just about the ad. It attaches a human face to the ad, and people will instinctively trust it. They'll be like, "Oh, I like this YouTuber. He recommends. He's a good like he's a good gaming YouTuber, for example, and he recommends this game. Okay, fine, I'll go check it out." Uh, Raid Shadow Legends. Have nobody. I don't think anybody has ever played it, but
Raid Shadow Legends.
the ads for it are just
You guys, please sponsor us. We're gonna say that every time. I think I had this in my dreams. Like after watching some people say, "Raid Shadow Legends, download that." Like
you just fell asleep with the YouTube
yeah,
on autoplay.
I wish I used an ad blocker back then. But yeah, I agree with you. Like beyond financials, because it's easier to just run an ad on Google or Facebook with like super low effort. Of course, it's much more complicated to have a payment subscription model. It's much more complicated to have influencers coming in and it's like helping out to boost your content organically through their following. It's much more complicated to ask like people to subscribe for like Patreon or pay-per-views or microtransactions or some sort of crowdfunding. I don't know. It's just much more complicated and difficult than just paying $1 million to Google in an ad and that's it and getting your results. So this is like a workaround. I feel that ad blockers are like the fight against ad blockers should be influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, direct marketing through email. So that's a workaround against that. But I also agree with you that you kind of had a balance, but I totally am for ad blockers, not selling my data, restricting as much as I can the data tracking from my side, just because I have maybe paranoia. But besides that, like I feel much more safe that way. That's no one's advertising cat food to me.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I want to talk about is they did research, and they asked people their primary reasons for using ad blockers.
Mhm.
People said 62%, that as I'm reading the graph, said there are too many ads. Another 55% around said ads get in the way. 40% said to protect my privacy. 39% said ads are irrelevant to me.
I think those are four things that I'm like literally concerned about.
Yeah.
It's like too much, their relevance, privacy concerns.
Yeah.
They get in the way.
These are all the things we talked about, just in order. It seems like, I just like, there are too many ads. They're the main thing.
Crash your billboard outside your window. Fair enough. Well, then my final advice would be probably everyone should use an ad block.
I mean, continue using ad blocks. I just think it's actually, it would be really nice if there were fewer ads as well. If you want to do advertising, just put a bit more work into it.
I agree. You can do organic. You should put a little bit more effort.
You can pay us.
My phone is info at.
This whole thing was an ad.
Thank you everyone for listening. This was episode 20, and until next time.
Peace.